Alright, let's just take a look at the old YouTube channel over here. Alright, okay. What the? You greedy little monsters! Guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to get all the latest quality content from me. Hey guys, this is Haelian, and I got another video for you today, and I want to do something a little bit different for you. So today I got my top 6 easiest builds, and the reason I'm doing 6 is because I wanted to showcase one build from each weapon in the game here, just to kind of showcase what I think would be the easiest way to earn a win in case you're struggling with any one of these particular weapons. Now, when I say easiest, I don't necessarily mean the most overpowered or the highest damage or anything like that. It really just means easy to set up. You're really only going to need one core big boon that's going to help you through it, and the rest is just going to be gravy. Anything else after that is just going to be nice to have, but you don't have to have it, I think. Now, just keep in mind, as always, that this is just my opinion. What might work for one person might not work for you, and that's going to be okay, but it's just important to try things out in this game. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe after this. All right, let's do it. Now, before we start, I just want you to know that I'll only be quickly referencing a couple of mirror options for each build so that things don't get too complicated. If you need more help with your mirror options, I recommend visiting my version 1.0 mirror guide here on my YouTube channel. If you're not certain how to get some of the duo and legendary boons that I mention here, check the codex in-game to find out. Also, I highly suggest grabbing Divine Dash from Athena whenever you can if you're still struggling to get your first clears. It allows you to deflect enemy attacks and send projectiles back at them. It makes every single run much safer and easier to complete. I also recommend starting your runs with the keepsake that belongs to the god mentioned to make certain you get the boon that we're looking for. Alright, so coming in at number 1, we have the Poseidon sword aspect with electric shot from Zeus. This is one of the most fun builds you can do with the sword, I think. Poseidon aspect allows you to dislodge your casts from enemies when you use the sword special on them, and also gives you a really nice passive cast damage bonus. I highly suggest starting off with family favorites in the mirror, since it can be difficult to apply 2 curses oftentimes with this if you have privileged status on. You could go either God's Legacy or God's Pride for this, I think. There are some duo boons and legendaries that can help, but they're definitely not mandatory. Electric Shot is the cast boon from Zeus that normally deals somewhat mediocre damage that also chains into other enemies. By using the Poseidon sword, we can boost that damage so that it can actually be rather meaningful. You'll notice with this build that early on in your run, you'll be clearing rooms very quickly and easily, but when you get to bosses and toward the last 2 zones, things are going to slow down a bit. We're going to want to supplement our cast damage with other boons such as Splash Dash from Poseidon, Snow Burst from Demeter, and Static Discharge from Zeus. Some nice duo and legendary boons that you could get if the gods line up in your favor are Fully Loaded from Artemis, Parting Shot from Aphrodite and Athena, Mirage Shot from Poseidon and Artemis, Sea Storm from Poseidon and Zeus, only if you have Splash Dash, and Greater Recall from Hermes to get those casts back more easily. Hammer upgrades are not very important with this type of build, but if you're given the opportunity, Supernova and even Dash Nova can be somewhat useful in getting back your casts more easily. Your general strategy with this build is to simply throw your casts out at enemies until you're empty and then retrieve them around the room. Use your special to dislodge if necessary. Hitting up Chaos for extra cast or cast damage is also a major plus for this build. Coming up next at number 2 is Guan aspect for the spear with deadly flourish from Artemis. This build is so simple it almost feels like cheating at times. The Guan special move pierces enemies, has a wide hitbox, and has very good base damage, meaning it scales well with boons. Deadly Flourish is the special boon from Artemis that enables critical hits and helps your special deal just a little bit more damage as well. You could easily swap this boon out for Aphrodite's if you prefer to have your foes weakened, thus taking less damage since it deals a similar amount of damage to your enemies. I recommend using family favorites here since it could be quite difficult to apply 2 curses to activate privileged status when you're just spamming your special button. I also recommend God's Pride for this for similar reasons, where many of the duo boons would not be super helpful because we plan on only using this one move for most of the run. Some nice boons to pick up along the way would be Splash Dash from Poseidon to keep enemies away and help deal just a little more damage, an attack boon from either Aphrodite, Artemis, or Demeter, Special Speed from Hermes, Hunter's Mark from Artemis, and also Clean Kill from Artemis. Some duo boons that can work well here if given the opportunity are Heartrend from Aphrodite for even bigger crits, and Deadly Reversal from Artemis and Athena for better crit chances. The ideal hammer for this build is definitely Charge Skewer. It exponentially increases your damage from your special and gives you better control over how quickly you can throw your special and how far you throw it. A nice backup if it's not offered is Breaching Skewer to strip enemies of their armor more quickly. Your overall strategy is very straightforward. You use your special, dash away, special, dash away, etc. This build allows you to keep your distance from enemies while you destroy them. If you want to get technical, you can usually squeeze a couple of dash attacks between your specials to maximize your damage output, but it's definitely not necessary. Third on our list is Chaos Shield Aspect in the Eris Special. I actually had to try this build out again myself before recording this because I wasn't certain it still held up in version 1.0 of Hades, and boy, does it hold up. Chaos Aspect makes it so after you charge your shield and use your Bull Rush move, you send out additional shields from using your special. The strength here is that you can easily coat swarms of enemies with the Doom from Eris while utilizing the block from the shield to stay safe at the same time. I think that privileged status is a good fit here from the mirror since Doom does count as one of the two curses that you're going to need. You could use either God's Pride or God's Legacy in this instance, whichever you feel like. Some good supplemental boons would be getting an attack boon from either Demeter, Aphrodite, or Dionysus so that you can easily get those two curses onto enemies for privileged status. Getting more Doom-related boons from Eris can also add a lot of damage to this build. Both Impending Doom and Dire Misfortune are excellent for this. There are only a couple of duo boons that work well here. Curse of Longing from Aphrodite and Eris helps a little bit in just keeping up privileged status better, and Merciful End can be used, but only if you take Athena's attack boon. However, it is an incredibly powerful duo boon if you can get it going. There are a few good hammers with this build. Explosive Return adds a massive explosion when getting your shield back after throwing your special and it deals a decent chunk of damage. Charge Shot allows you to stand your ground while also dealing a heavy hit to enemies in the path. It's also important to note that Charge Shot penetrates shielding enemies, thus adding a solution to those pesky shield dudes in Elysium. Sudden Rush isn't a bad backup as it just allows you to charge up a little faster and get around more easily. The strategy you want to take with this build is to actually Bull Rush through enemies, turn around, fire your special off at them, then dash away while you wait for your shield to come back before charging up again. This could be a very safe and effective build if you utilize the blocking mechanism of the shield well. Waiting to unleash your Bull Rush only right after enemies throw an attack at you. You guys probably saw this one coming, but I still had to feature it, and maybe I can explain a little bit better why I think it works so well, rather than just watching a random video of me using it. So the aspect of Chiron makes it so the arrows from your special home in on a foe that you've recently struck with your bow attack. What's nice about it is that it deals a lot of damage without requiring you to get off power shots like with Zagreus aspect, which requires some muscle memory and timing to pick up. This build has great single target damage, but can be a bit challenging in crowded rooms at times. For the mirror, Family Favorites is a must if you're going to run with Deadly Flourish from Artemis. If you're not interested in hunting for duo boons, go ahead with God's Pride. Otherwise, you can run God's Legacy. You could possibly pick up some nice duo boons such as Heartrend from Aphrodite or Deadly Reversal from Athena. However, I highly recommend going for Heartrend instead of Deadly Reversal since it's quite challenging to deflect with the bow attack. Similar to our Guan build, the best supplemental boons are going to include Splash Dash from Poseidon, Hunter's Mark from Artemis, and Clean Kill from Artemis. There are two amazing hammer options for this build: Concentrated Volley, which increases the base damage of your special arrows for each consecutive hit, which is just a natural pick here, and Relentless Volley increases the number of special arrow shots by 4. You can get both of these in the same run and get some amazing results if you manage to. I'm on the fence about Piercing Volley since it seems to have a strange interaction with Chiron and doesn't really seem to increase the damage per enemy. But as always, you're welcome to try it out for yourself and let me know what the results are. Your overall strategy is going to be to strike an enemy with your bow attack, dash away once or twice, then use your special to get the damage in. Try not to get into the habit of hitting an attack and then immediately hitting the special since this can leave you vulnerable. You can easily get 2 to 3 specials off before the targeting effect wears off itself. This build does a great job at spacing our enemies and keeping us at a safe distance at all times. This is another build I had to try again before listing it because it had been a while since I had used it myself, but now I'm confident it's the right build for this list. Zagreus aspect for the fist gives you a passive 15% dodge chance, and I think Athena's attack is a great way to pair it to add a little more safety to this melee build. Athena's attack will completely trivialize certain mechanisms in the game. The bombs dropped from killing those certain enemies in Asphodel will always be deflected, and the Flame Wheel Chariots in Elysium will have their explosions deflected too as long as you keep attacking. I recommend going for Privileged Status from the Mirror and God's Legacy. You can get the Exposed boon from Athena after the attack to get one curse going and then simply grab either Aphrodite or Demeter's special or dash to apply that second curse. This is a great build to get Deadly Reversal with, so if you are able to get Artemis's special, I'd still go for it. Just always be aware of what boon slots you have open and what curses you can still get to activate Privileged Status. If you're still struggling with the fists, I might recommend taking Divine Dash here even more so than normal, since being in melee range is always dangerous in Hades. There are some great hammer choices for this build. My number one choice is going to be Breaching Cross. Stripping armor quickly off of enemies will help not just kill them faster, but also get them down to their health bar, where you can stagger them continuously with your attack. Long Knuckle is also great for just some extra range, and Rolling Knuckle works well to increase your dash attack damage. Speaking of which, our strategy with the fist is to never actually finish a full combo with the attack, but to instead dash right before the end each time. This way there will never be downtime in our punches, since finishing a combo causes a delay before being able to punch again. So our strategy will simply to be get in, get a few punches off, dash behind the enemy, punch a few more times, dash, etc. You can simply hold down the attack button while occasionally dashing to accomplish this as well. This might be my number one pick for the whole series just because the aspect of Eris is so insanely powerful. If you're standing in your special explosion radius when it lands, you'll get a 75% damage increase for 8 seconds. Just think about that. 75% more damage from everything. Family Favorites is probably the best since you need a second boon from Zeus to get his curse, and God's Pride is a must since there are not too many powerful duo boons here, I think. Zeus is a no-brainer for the attack on the rail early on here, since the lightning damage will also scale with the aspects bonus. You'll find yourself demolishing enemies in Tartarus and Asphodel. By the time you get to Elysium, you're going to be looking for some more damage from other sources to increase your output. Splash Dash works amazingly well with this build, and the Zeus's aid is absolute insanity when you have that 75% bonus damage, so I recommend both if the opportunity arises. Getting jolted from Zeus and a decent special boon from either Artemis, Aphrodite, Athena, or Demeter can help a ton as well. Sea Storm is the best duo you can get in case you do get Splash Dash as well. One of the best parts about Aspect of Eris is how many different hammers work well with it, so that you're not depending on only one or two specific upgrades to get offered. I think the best would be Rocket Bomb, which still lets you apply the damage bonus as long as you are close to the explosion. If you're able to combine Rocket with Cluster Bomb, you can deal insane damage by shooting out 5 spreading rockets at once. Targeting system is also nice since the 30% damage bonus applies to our lightning damage, and even Delta Chamber can be quite good since you can just dash attack all over the place to get lots of lightning floating around without ever having to reload. There are more that work fairly well too, but I think these hammers are my top picks for Eris. So our strategy is to fire off our special as soon as we enter every chamber, get that damage bonus going, then unleash with Zeus's Fury. Later on, your special damage will actually assist in culling enemies even faster, especially the bosses. Just make sure you keep that buff up at all times. Always be cautious when using the rail though, because our attack does not stagger enemies, so they can still attack while you're in the middle of blasting away. Alright guys, that does it for our top 6 easiest builds. I hope this helps some people out in just kind of learning the game a little bit more, and maybe just learn a little bit about what boons and hammers and aspect choices you want to make in the game. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the video, okay guys? It took me a little bit more effort and a little bit more time than normal, but I think it's going to be worth it. And by the way, if you haven't checked out the stream, you probably should. I mean, just look at what you're missing here. I don't like it! The smell went up my nose! Top quality, that. Alright guys, I'll catch you on stream, www.dampdad.com. Bye bye now.